Welcome to this episode of Seatrade Maritime in Focus podcast. My name is Emma Howell and I am Content Director at Seatrade Maritime. Ahead of this year's Saudi Maritime and Logistics Congress taking place in Dammam from the 18th to the 19th of September, I've had the pleasure to present some questions to a leading light in the energy sector. Ahmad Abdulaziz Sindhi is the General Manager, Transportation Sector at Oil Sustainability Programme. Before joining OSP, Ahmad spent 16 years working in the downstream sector of Saudi Aramco. So welcome today, Ahmad.
Thank you very much.
Could you now briefly introduce yourself and the Oil Sustainability Programme, which from now on we will refer to as OSP to make it slightly less of a mouthful for our listeners. So yes, over to you, please.
Thank you for having me today, Emma. It's really a pleasure for me to get to talk to you and the team at SMC about OSP and how it came into fruition, our work and what we aim to do. I'm Ahmad Sindhi. I'm the head of transportation sector in OSP, heading multiple initiatives. We are working in the sector about how we enhance the sustainability of the transport sector in both road, maritime, and aviation. You know, we all know that climate change is undeniable scientific reality, and it demands a lot of unified global response. While the responsibility of tackling climate change is shared globally, the specific challenges, I believe, differ across regions, which implicitly admits that solutions to these said challenges differ as well. I think that in the search to address those challenges, it had become evident that a reliable, realistic, and sustainable energy mix will continue to involve the use of hydrocarbon. The world requires every available energy source to meet growing demands. And I always quote His Royal Highness Prince Abdulaziz bin Salman, the Minister of Energy. He always says that the world needs every single electron and every single molecule of hydrocarbon, which is why OSP was launched back in 2020 with the participation of multiple public and private entities, research institutes, and major NOCs and IOCs. The primary objective of OSP is to ensure and support the environmental and economic efficiency of the various applications of hydrocarbon materials. We focus on encouraging the integration between multiple industries, both nationally and internationally, to create a cohesive effort towards sustainability with innovation and development always in mind and its forefront. OSP is committed to support the Kingdom's ongoing work in addressing and supporting climate pledges and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals as well. And we do that by fostering innovative practices and collaborations in which we aim to drive significant improvement, ultimately contributing to a more sustainable and efficient energy mix.
So if you were to name the key initiatives and objectives of the Saudi OSP programme that demonstrate the country's commitment to sustainable hydrocarbon utilisation and energy transition, what would that look like?
I believe that OSP is a cornerstone example aimed at optimizing hydrocarbon use, promoting technological advancement, and expanding energy access in developing nations. That's the key objective of the program. And as I mentioned earlier, OSP was launched to create opportunities and applications for clean hydrocarbons globally as a competitive source of energy, both from economic and environmental point of view, while ensuring hydrocarbons remain as part of the global energy mix in the most efficient and sustainable way. The program enables and supports the transition by removing barriers to energy access in developing markets, as well as accelerating technological advancement and increase the sustainability in general. I believe by fostering innovation reducing environmental impact, ensuring reliable source of energy, supply of energy. OSP is demonstrating its leadership in balancing climate responsibility with economic stability and growth. We work to support the kingdom's continuous also efforts towards a sustainable future through spread heading, innovative approaches, encourage collaboration in areas like the main areas R&D and among others.
So if you were to look at the current challenges that you're addressing pertaining to environmental sustainability, particularly in the maritime industry, what might those challenges look like?
That's a great question, Emma. Honestly, I don't want to state the obvious, but I think that it is difficult to deny that hydrocarbons have been involved in driving economic development for centuries across different sectors. Of course, with transportation sector being the most significant contributor. The sector of maritime has an intricate nature characterized by numerous and volatile variables, presents increasingly complex challenges. And of course, to address these challenges in a reasonable and practical way, the program has focused its efforts on multiple fronts across the three subsectors, in general, as road and aviation and maritime. Definitely, the maritime transport is not exempted from any sustainability concerns as well. I give you an example: sulfur emissions, which was one of the major concerns in the sector. It poses a significant threat to maritime ecosystem and the marine ecosystem in general. Therefore, our team is actively working to mitigate this by supporting the installation of sulfur removal systems on vessels. Additionally, on the other hand, we are promoting investment in R&D for feasible shift toward the very low sulfur fuel oil, what is called the VLSFO. And by the way, we are not only focused on sulfur, we look at other pollutants. And as you know, the key talk nowadays is about carbon emission, of course. And that's why we are working with technology providers and ship owners for the installation of onboard carbon capture units to reduce the carbon emissions to the environment. It will play a major role in reducing the overall contribution of the sector to the global emissions. These are just some of the various examples that we have been working diligently, and we are always open to expanding on our efforts in doing so.
That actually leads me very nicely on to the next question. Oil. Oil is not necessarily associated with sustainability, but how does oil play a role in the drive to sustainability, specifically in the maritime industry?
I think you raised an interesting point about the relationship between oil and sustainability in the maritime sector. I believe oil continues to play a crucial role in supporting the maritime industry's ability to serve as the backbone of global trade and economic prosperity. While the transition to more sustainable fuel is underway, oil-based propulsion remains essential in ensuring the reliable and cost-effective delivery of essential goods, like raw materials, humanitarian aids, food to communities worldwide. If we take a step back and look into the maritime industry as a whole, we would realize how the maritime shipping industry is the backbone of the global economy, and it is responsible for handling 80% of trade, and it's always positioned at the forefront of global supply chain resilience. And I think we have seen that a couple of years ago with the COVID impact on the global connectivity. And I think it is safe for us to assume that vessels would not be sailing the seas shipping all of the equipment that we are right now using today to record this podcast if it wasn't for the oil-based fuels. I mean, oil has always been a dominant fuel source, and it will take time for the industry to undergo a full shift toward other alternatives. In another word, it's important to note that the transition to sustainability in the maritime industry, I think it's a multi-layered and ongoing process, with oil still playing a role, but with a growing interest in a cleaner and more environmentally friendly technologies, as well as practices. I think we are witnessing how the industry is actively embracing the challenge of becoming more sustainable and is making significant steps and strides toward a greener future. I think this is by itself is a sustainability. Energy security is a sustainability. Supply chain resilience is sustainability. So safeguarding the reliability while encouraging the innovation in the industry to foster and develop applications that address the challenges, that by itself would be the focus. And this is what we think should be the focus for the industry.
That's a great response, but it does lead me to another point, and that is the life cycle of a ship is 25 years, and we still see many new vessels being launched that are designed purely to run on fuel oil. Now, how can OSP help owners of these ships ensure that they can be used for their full life?
Good question. And this is exactly the primary focus under our maritime subsector in the program. There are many technologies already available that work to ensure optimized utilization of vessels. I'll give you some example. Scrubbers retrofitting, for example, in which OSP is supporting ship owners in retrofitting their vessels with advanced and optimized scrubber technologies to remove SOx and particulates from hydrocarbon-based fuels, oil exhaust of the ships. This allows fuel oil to continue to meet environmental regulations, thereby extending the lifespan of the existing fleets. Another example is onboard carbon capture. Similarly, OSP helps ship owners deploy onboard carbon capture technologies to capture and store carbon emission from engine exhaust. This reduces the carbon footprint of the hydrocarbon fueled vessels to increase the compliance with emissions regulations and also to contribute positively to sustainability. True, honestly, if we compare maritime emissions with other transportation means like, for example, road transportation, or even other sectors like industries, mining, it might look low, but still, I believe strongly that every effort to reduce emissions would count and should not be underestimated. And I think by addressing these key areas, OSP can effectively support ship owners in maximizing the utilization of their vessels throughout their full 20 or 25 years life cycle while simultaneously align with the industry's evolving sustainability goals.
So in fairness, what you're saying as well is that technology is essential in improving the efficiency of vessels that continue to use fuel oil.
Yeah, of course, being an engineer, I like to talk about the technologies always. I'll start in details about the scrubbers, for example. The HK4 scrubbers are exhaust cleaning systems that remove sulfur oxide and particulate matters from vessels' engine exhaust. And by removing these pollutants, scrubbers allow ships to continue using cost-effective, high-sulfur fuel oil while complying with the stricter environmental regulations. This helps maintain the economic viability of fuel oil-powered vessels and as well as enabling the continued efficient global trade and transportation. The scrubber technology can achieve a reduction of SOx up to 98%, which significantly improve the environmental impact of HFO powered ships. Another example, continuing in the downstream side of the engine, as I said previously, onboard carbon capture is another promising technology, as these carbon capture systems can be installed on board vessels to capture and store CO2 emissions from engine exhaust. And by that, they reduce the overall carbon footprint of fuel oil powered ships and help the maritime industry meet its emission reduction targets. By capturing and storing CO2, these systems can offset the environmental impact of continued HFO usage and support the transition to more sustainable maritime industry. And these systems can be designed to be modular and easily retrofitted onto existing vessels, enabling a widespread adoption without the need for major infrastructure changes.
Leading on to the next question I have for you, does the OSP see specific regions and/or trades where it will be more important to improve the efficiency of fuel oil use in shipping as investments have not been made in alternative fuels, such as maybe commercial trades?
Absolutely. We have identified multiple regions and trade routes where improving the efficiency of shipping fuels will be particularly important, especially in areas where investments in alternative fuels have been limited. One such area of focus, of course, as you mentioned, is the commercial shipping trade, where vessels often rely on traditional fuel oil. And the nature of these commercial routes, where usually there is a transportation of cargoes on sometimes irregular schedule, often serving remote or less developed regions, where in these regions the investment in alternative fuel infrastructure in the shipping industry have historically lagged behind. In the commercial trade, we recognize multiple considerations. For example, the longevity of existing fleet, in which commercial shipping vessels often have longer operational lifespans, and with many ships in the, as you mentioned, rightfully 20, 25 years range. That's why improving the efficiency of these vessels is crucial to maximize their utilization and return on investment for ship owners, of course. Another factor is operational constraint, as the commercial shipping vessels usually operate in remote or developing region with limited access to maintenance and servicing facilities. We recognize the importance of developing robust, fuel-focused maintenance programs to ensure the reliability and longevity of these vessels. We also can't ignore the economic factor in which commercial shipping operators often face tighter profit margins, making investments in alternative fuel technologies. All of these, like, it's more challenging for them. And we aim to provide these technical and financial support to help commercial shipping owners to improve their efficiency of their fleet. So I think by focusing on these commercial shipping trade routes, OSP can have a significant impact on improving the efficiency and sustainability of fuels in a segment of the industry that has historically faced greater barriers to adopt alternative fuel solutions. This targeted approach allows the OSP to address the unique needs and constraints of the commercial shipping sector, ensuring that vessels in these regions can continue to operate efficiently and economically for their long life cycle. Just want to mention that we are open, of course, to work with any industry players that are looking to collaborate and have similar strategies to achieve a sustainable maritime sector.
It's a little bit of a crystal ball time, but if we were to look 5 years ahead, which is quite challenging in an industry that is fairly fast moving currently, what would you expect the OSP to have achieved in shipping?
As mentioned earlier, our approach is to look into the sustainability of the entire life cycle of the fuel production and consumption. We're not looking at the consumption side only, but we are also tapping into the production side. We're confident that in our work that the program will continue working with our partners to achieve what we have planned. Luckily, we have an inspiring young minds thinking and collaborating, which only pushes us to all to think of how we can support our future and our children's future as well. Therefore, looking ahead 5 years, although ambitious, we hope to have achieved some of our key milestones in improving the sustainability of fuel use in the shipping sector, as well as other transportation sectors, through the support of not only the minds at OSP, but with the support of all the relevant stakeholders, supporting the widespread adoption of exhaust cleaning technologies supporting the onboard carbon capture, enhancing lower carbon fuel production, and doing some upgrades in the production facilities to produce cleaner products and achieve optimized fuel engines performance as well. They all will play a major role and help us to achieve these targets. These key milestones are the focus of OSP, and it will help us to make a substantial progress in improving the efficiency as well as environmental performance in the shipping industry, contributing to the sector's overall sustainability goals as well. And I think that by this balanced approach, focusing on both technological advancement and the integration of more sustainable fuel options, would position the shipping industry toward a more sustainable future, while recognizing the continued role of the near to mid-term future.
Thank you, Ahmad, for that very insightful conversation.
Thank you, Emma, for having me today.
It's an absolute pleasure. So today, Seatrade Maritime has been talking to Ahmad Abdulaziz, Sindhi, General Manager, Transportation Sector at Oil Sustainability Programme. To hear more from Ahmad, register today for the Saudi Maritime and Logistics Congress, which takes place in Dammam, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, from the 18th to the 19th of September. Ahmad is a key speaker in a session focused on energy transition for a sustainable future. To hear more, register at SaudiMaritimeCongress.com. Thank you very much for listening.